A lot of investors get stuck in analysis paralysis, especially when it comes to remote investing and out-of-state investing, and they don't know where to start.
This is particularly true for new investors who are looking to invest out of state. And if you're going to invest out of state, you have to have third-party property management. But what questions are you even supposed to ask them?
Yeah, if you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button and then ring the bell so that you get notified every week when we drop a new video. All right, we have 5 categories with 25 questions when it comes to property managers and how to interview them. Today, we're gonna cover the top 2 questions in each category so that you're best equipped to get into action. The very first category is experience. We definitely want to dive in and figure out how much experience do they have in terms of years and time, and then most importantly, what type of experience do they have in the size of property, and is it comparable to the size of property that you're searching for? So the first 2 questions in the experience category are, what types of properties do you currently manage or have you managed in the past? And how long have you been in property management?
Right, because like what if I'm looking to buy a duplex or a triplex and I find out they pretty much just manage 20 and 30 unit apartment buildings? That's not going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
And then on the contrary, what if I'm looking to buy a 20 unit building and all the experience they have is in managing single family homes and duplexes? That's not a good fit either. Category number 2 is service questions. Okay, our top 2 questions under service questions is, how do you market for vacant units? One of the biggest expenses for real estate investors is vacancy. So we want to make sure we're dealing with a property manager who is very proactive about marketing our units. So how do you market for vacant units? The second top question in this category is, what is the typical time frame from the time I put a property on the market to the time we have a tenant move in? That's going to give you an idea of what is the normal lead time so that you can plan on vacancy when you're running your numbers.
All right, so the next question you want to ask is about financials. You want to find out, what are your management fees? So you ask them, what are your management fees? And are they based on a percentage of rents collected, or are they based on scheduled rents? What's the difference?
Okay, this is a really big one. So collected rents, if their management fees are based on that, is they only get paid if you get paid. Scheduled rents, which is actually a little bit more common, is let's say that you have a duplex and each unit goes for $750 a month. And let's say one tenant paid, but the other tenant, they haven't paid. If their management fees are based on scheduled rents, they get their property management fee regardless of whether the tenant paid. So ideally, you find a property manager who's financially incentivized that they get paid to the extent that they've done a good job collecting the rent. So they get paid when you get paid.
And the next question that you want to ask is, what's your tenant placement fee?
Yeah, because I mean, tenant placement fee can be really different, right? We have some property managers that they charge 1/2 of 1 month's rent. We have another property manager that actually just charges a little bit more on a monthly percentage basis, and that covers it. And then we have other property managers that we haven't used who charge a full month's rent. Well, that makes a really big difference. So you want to ask that question because you're going to build those numbers in when you're analyzing your deals and when you're making a decision about which property manager to use versus another.
All right, so if you're liking this video so far, make sure you click the like button below and give us a little bit of love.
Okay, so I have a question. What do you think keeps people from just picking up the phone and like dialing and starting to interview property managers? Like, what holds them back?
2 things. But I think it's at the very base of it is because they don't know what to ask. They don't know what questions to ask. And so because of that, they won't even pick up the phone because they're afraid. And mindset kicks in, and then, I'm gonna sit there and rock in a corner. I don't really wanna do this, but I know it's the one thing I gotta do in order to get this going. So role playing helps, but knowing what to ask is the first step, and then practicing those things to ask. In a role play situation, I don't care if it's talking to your kid's stuffed animals, calling your sister, your mother, your dog, whatever. Will the dog answer?
Woof.
I'm dead.
Practice to the kids' stuffed animals, woof. Right. Whatever's gonna happen.
Whatever.
And then just get on the phone.
Just get on the phone. And
just do it.
By the way, if you personally struggle with that, comment below because we want to reach out and help you. Like, just comment below. Why don't you pick up the phone? Is it because of what I said? You don't know what to ask, or is it because you do know what to ask, but you're afraid of sounding new? Let us know. Drop a comment.
Okay, the next category of questions is operational questions. So my 2 biggest questions, I want to know, how do they handle maintenance requests? One of the biggest things that will create turnover for your tenants is when the landlord doesn't take care of the property. Well, you're not the one they're talking to, it's your property manager. So you want to know that they have a system in place, so when their tenant calls and has an issue, what is their process for actually getting it taken care of? So that's number 1. The second thing is, what if something happens in the middle of the night or on a weekend? So I want to know, what is your process for taking care of any emergency maintenance requests.
Yes, tornado, a hurricane, a fire, I mean, you name it. I'm not
Polar
trying to scare
vortex.
you, but yeah, polar vortex. What's gonna happen, and then how will you be notified? And then what is their process and steps so that you know exactly what to expect. The last and final category is policies and procedures. So these are just the basics. It's like, what's your move-in process and your move-out process? And what is your eviction policy process? You need to know how they're gonna handle these types of situations, because if you have a tenant that's in there, they're not paying, how are they gonna handle them so that you're getting your rents coming in and cash flow is not obstructed? You wanna make sure they have a solid process in place for all of those things.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that has early on in my career is I was dealing with a property manager once who they didn't have any specific procedure for dealing with evictions. So now that's one of the big questions we ask. I want to know if the rent is due on the 3rd, are they delivering the notice to pay or quits on the 4th to all tenants? It can't be a decision, am I or am I not? It's just part of their procedure. So that's a big question. That's why it's one of our top 2. All right, just I hope that helps you guys. You know, you just got to get out there and do it. And look, here's the deal. Using property management, third-party property management is literally the thing that's going to help you to scale your portfolio. But you cannot be afraid to call, or it's okay to be afraid, but you need to do it anyway. Before you ever hire any property manager, you need to have called and interviewed at least 3 to 5 property managers in that market and truly compare and contrast to make sure you're finding the one that's going to be the best for you, because it's going to make a huge difference in your profitability and your portfolio.
If you do want to get into multifamily real estate investing, but you're not sure what's the first step, the second, or the third, you can click the link in the description below and a member of our team will hop on the phone with you and talk about your goals, your resources, and how we can hold your hand and get you to where you want to be.
The other thing we want to tell you is that we have a free Facebook group. It's called Multifamily Real Estate Investing. So if you want to be around people that are like you on the journey, looking to learn, come join us in that Facebook group. We do tons of free education and content there. And every week, Jen and I make ourselves available for a question and answer session. It's live, it's in Zoom, we're face to face. You gotta come to the Facebook group, register, go to events, and then we'll see you there. But any questions you have about real estate, we're there to answer them for you.
If you want to learn how to create a kick-ass investor packet so that once you're in a deal, you can market it and try to get some JV partners, it's like, there's this masterclass right here, you gotta watch it. So click on that video, watch it, and we'll see you next week.